Hi y'all, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber, and today we are doing 3 Valentine's Day DIYs. I hope you guys enjoy. I just want to say thank you for your support. So let's jump on into DIY number 1. For the first DIY, we're going to take this little gnome truck sign. You can get it at Dollar Tree. It usually comes in a little package with a paintbrush and usually about 3 paints for kids to paint or adults. And we're just going to flip it over. That way we have a clean, fresh surface on the back side. And I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm just going to sand off them little letters down at the bottom to make it a little bit easier to cover. Once I get that fully sanded, I'm going to take my Dutch Boy Clean and Clear Paint and Primer in the color Eggshell, and I'm going to give this a really good coat on the front. You could always color or cover the back with the same paint to give it a nice even finish if you're going to gift it to someone or going to sell it. I decided not to do that. I just left mine because it's just going to hang up on my wall in my home, so I'm not too worried about it, but that is an option. Now, once I get this fully sanded off and everything, I do take a little paintbrush and just dust off all of the sawdust that was left behind from sanding on it and make sure that there's none of that left. That way it doesn't affect the texture of our paint. Now here I'm just giving this that real good thick coat. I only had to do 1 coat of this paint. It worked really well, covered up everything, and this is just going to be my base color. That way it's a little easier to paint later on with more detail. This is because I didn't want any of the wood grain peeking through my project later on. Now I'm taking the apple barrel in the color Flag Red, and I'm going to just give this whole truck a good coat of this Flag Red apple barrel paint. I only did 1 coat of it and just gave it a pretty thick, even coat as I could get it. And then make sure that you guys are letting your coats dry in between. You can use any color that you want. I just chose red for Valentine's Day. You could use pink. You could use the wood grain. I mean, it's really just up to you and your taste. Now I'm taking a popsicle stick. This is a large one from Dollar Tree. And I'm just covering it in the furniture repair markers, and I'm doing it in black. I'm also going to do a small one. You can see that I'm going to use the big one for the bumper. The small one I cut down, and I'm going to use that to fill in the space underneath the bumper where the tag would be. I'm going to color it in the same black furniture repair marker. And then I am going to take some antique copper by Folk Art, and I'm going to apply this with my fingers in just a thin coat. I'm going to go on the top and bottom of the bumpers, over the curves of the cab. I do a couple coats of this with my finger, just layering it on top of each other. I use this color because I want to give it sort of a rusty look, give it sort of that old vintage vibe or farmhouse vibe. And then I put a little above the mirrors, and I'm sort of just placing it where I think the truck would originally rust if it was real. Then I'm going to hot glue down that bumper, and I'm going to make sure that I leave enough space below that to where I have enough room to apply some glue and add my little tag spot. Make sure that it's good and secure. I do go around that top edge where it was pulling up a little bit. You guys can get finger protectors at Dollar Tree or any other craft store. A lot of times I don't use them because I'm so used to crafting that the heat from the glue really doesn't bother me. But please be careful. Do not burn yourself. And get finger protectors if you need them. Right here I'm just taking the folk art in the color Silver Sterling. I'm applying that with my finger all over the bumper to give it sort of that shimmer and shine that a normal bumper would have from the chrome. Then I'm taking my furniture repair marker, going over the wheels, and also covering up any of that red that was peeking through. Now here I am taking a gold paint marker, and I use the color gold at first. Now with this gold against the black with that little silver coating from the folk art paint, it was not showing up at all. So I decided to go back in and use a pink paint marker, and I just write the word love bug. Now you could put love you, you could put just about anything that you want on there, really. I mean, it's just up to you, your guys' taste, your guys' style. I also take some of that Silver Sterling folk art paint and I make little circles in the mirror. This is to give it that reflective sort of surface. I also do take what is left on my brush and dry brush tread marks over the black on the wheels just to give it a little bit of a definition. And then I mix the colors. The Sterling Silver by Folk Art, Blue Mountain by Apple Barrel, and some of that white Dutch Boy paint and primer in the color Eggshell. I give it a good mix, and this is what I'm going to cover the red with to paint my window. Now this does have a little bit of a sheen to it from that sterling, or that Silver Sterling. Sorry guys, I keep wanting to say sterling silver. But anyways, it gives it a little bit of a shine. I do go back over it later on with a touch of that Silver Sterling to give it more shine, but you'll see that here in a few minutes. Now I'm taking some of them bigger popsicle sticks and I'm creating the bed of my truck. 2 of them I curve and 1 of them I just cut straight. I just sort of drew out with a pencil the shape that I wanted and then measured off of that and then cut. Then I take the antique wax and that is by Waverly. I love this wax. It's easy to use. I rub it on with my fingers just so that I don't use a ton of it. Then I wipe it off with the napkin, as you can see. And then I'm going to take some scrap pieces of wood. They actually come from one of the little truck light up signs that they have at Christmas time. I removed those. They're about the same thickness as one of the Jenga blocks. So you could totally use a Jenga block or any scrap piece of wood. But I create the risers, glue the big popsicle sticks to the top of those. Make sure you leave enough room. I covered those in the antique wax by Waverly also. Then I'm going to take some remnant pieces from the bigger ones and I'm just going to create 2 halves of a heart, connect them together after I coat them in the Waverly wax, glue them down. I did have a piece split. I just glued it. It did not allow the wax to cover it, but I thought it was cute and it was perfectly fine with me. Not that big of a deal. Then I add a little of that antique wax around them rusty spots that we created earlier. And then I'm going to slide a piece of foam that come out of a package for Christmas in the back of that bed to use as floral foam instead of buying floral foam. And then here I am just taking a pencil, writing love inside the heart, and then going over it with a fine tip Sharpie marker. This is where I'm going to take that sterling silver, or silver sterling folk art paint, and I'm just going to add some more to the mirrors and take my finger and just go over that window to add a little bit more shine to it. I thought that it made it look a little bit more realistic and gave it just that extra little pop of detail that I was really looking for. If you guys are enjoying this video, please like, share, comment. I love talking to you guys in the comment section. I really appreciate your support, and I thank you guys so much. You don't know what it means to me. Now here, these are just some scrap pieces of floral picks that I had. I got them in a huge tote for a couple bucks at a yard sale over the summertime. I am just taking a little bit of that flag red and doing some touch-up work first. Now, had I been thinking and everything, on these flowers, the stems were very flimsy. What I should have done was taken toothpicks or even the kebab sticks, broke chunks off, and glued them to the stems of the flowers to sturdy them up so that they were easier to poke down in that foam. I struggled with this. I poked holes with a little tiny screwdriver and then placed my flowers inside the pre-poked holes. But once I got to a certain point, I really was running out of room to be able to poke the holes, and it just made it extremely difficult, and I end up having to squirt some glue down in on the foam. And I had a little gnome. I thought about putting him in the bed, but he was a little too thick to actually like slide all the way down in there like I wanted. So I decided not to use him. Now, I don't think I really glued a whole, or I didn't glue any of them. I did get them to lay in there enough to where they were sturdy enough I wasn't worried about them falling out. But here it is. I thought about adding a bow and stuff. I just added a jute twine hanger on the back, covered the ends with some cardstock. Now on to DIY number 2. Now this one is going to be a pretty easy one. This is a galvanized 3D plaque. It is in the shape of a ribbon. I remove the jute twine hanger from this, and I am just going to add the ribbon. Now, this ribbon came off of one of my girls' Christmas presents. I'm not sure even what it came off of, but it was just an extra piece that had been laying around. You can find ribbon like this at Dollar Tree or really any store that sells craft supplies. I feed it through, tie knots in the back. Then I'm going to trim down what's left of this ribbon, and I'm just going to fold it in half and glue it. Then I'm going to make some tails for it. I do dovetail these. I'm going to crisscross it, glue it down, do the dovetailing. I did struggle a little bit with this ribbon, getting it cut into the dovetails. It was wanting to fray pretty bad, so I just took my lighter and heated it up a little bit to seal those scraggly pieces. I forgot to wrap the center of it, so I pulled it off real quick after hot gluing it to the tails. I just wrap it with an extra piece of that ribbon in the center, get it glued down, and then tack it down with some hot glue to the tails. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to place it now. And I'm just finding the centerpiece of my ribbon, and I do hot glue it together just to sit there and give it a little bit more form. And then when I'm hanging it, it will sit the way that I want it to lay. You do not have to do this. These projects are completely customizable. Color, print, anything that you like for your decor, you can incorporate into these projects. These are just for inspiration. Now, I went with my Cricut and I just typed out my little saying, which is kisses 25 cents, hugs free. I'm just going to remove the vinyl, get it all weeded out, and this is not in order. My kisses will go at the top, the 25 cents will go in the middle, and hugs free will be at the bottom. I just use Dollar Tree transfer paper. I love it. Some people don't care for it. I mean, it really just depends on what you like. My vinyl is Oracle 635, I think. It's an outdoor adhesive vinyl by Oracle. And I just bought it off of Amazon. I'll link that in the description box for you guys. And right here, I lay down the hugs, transfer it on, then I don't lay it all the way down. That way I can place free where I want it to be at. And then I have a little styrofoam heart. This came from Dollar Tree in a big pack. I just trim it down to where I can put that heart in between hugs and free. I glue it down. And really, that's it. I mean, these signs are so customizable. You can do any font. This was just a free Cricut font. You can do just about anything. You can write it with permanent paint markers or anything. You can buy letters or rub-on transfer letters from Dollar Tree or any other craft supply store. Now on to DIY number 3. This is probably my favorite, but my kids made it, so of course it's going to be my favorite one. They are right now just coloring with regular washable markers and highlighters and stuff on these coffee filters. They are doing their design, and at first it was sort of funny because they made these real pretty pictures and everything, and then I told them, I said, when we get done with this, your picture is probably not going to be seen. There may be portions of it that will be seen, but the colors are going to bleed with what we're doing with this project. So then they did their second one a little bit different, and some of the words can be seen, like on Charlie's, you can see her name and everything, but they color these, and then we take them to the sink, and I put a few drops of rubbing alcohol and a few drops of water, and then they just turned them to let the colors flow to the edges of the paper plates. Now, you do not have to use rubbing alcohol for the washable colors. I did it thinking that it would spread the colors a little bit better. Water works just fine. Now, if you are using a permanent marker, you will have to use the rubbing alcohol. We get those done, and then we're going to let those dry. I let them dry overnight. They turned out absolutely amazing. I love them. The colors and stuff are really neat, and it was really neat seeing the outcome. Now, here they are dry. And I'm just folding these in half, and I'm going to cut hearts out of them. And I do this for the whole stack. There was 8 of them all together. And I'm going to keep those remnants for something else in this project, so do not throw those away. Now, here's all the hearts cut out. As you can see, Charlie's name was on hers. Some of the shapes and lines did stay. Now, here I have some just card stock, and I cut circles out of it. You can use poster cards, cardboard from a cereal box, really anything. This is just your base. Now I'm taking them remnants, and I'm just twisting them up. Now you can do this with ribbon, you can do it with old material that you've cut up into slices, and you're just going to twist and tack every so often and wrap it around, creating a rose. These turned out amazing, guys. I absolutely love these, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to color a bunch of the coffee filters and make more of these because they just turned out so gorgeous. I was really shocked and surprised they turned out as good as they did, really. But as you can see, I'm just continuing to start in the center, wrap, glue, and tack every so often. I do lift the flowers up on the edges and stuff and glue up underneath of those. That way I have a solid hold to that base. That way it's not lifting up or falling apart or anything. And I mean, with these, you can pretty much let your imagination run wild. Like I said, ribbon, old material, paper. You can do it with coffee filters, obviously. You can do it with tissue paper. So it's a really neat project and stuff. And the kids absolutely love the flowers. They thought they were so neat that I was able to save the leftover pieces and make these. Now here I'm just taking a really long piece of jute cord, and this is going to be where I hang these on for my garland. And I just glue them, make sure that they're all facing the same direction. I want them to, you know, when I hang it up, I don't want it to, you know, flip one of the roses backwards or anything like that. So I try to play with the jute cord as I'm adding these flowers. I sort of, you know, do an oversized spread hand length apart from each of these. It was pretty much just random placing, but I did give plenty of space between each of them. Now here I have 4 pieces of jute cord, and I'm going to make ties. I make sure that I put a section of it in front and behind the jute cord. That way it's hanging on there. Then I tie it off. I do this for all 4 of those. And then I'm going to glue the hearts to those and just make sure that, you know, they're not getting stuck to my desk and everything, but gluing them. And then I have some smaller sections, and I glue it to the bottom and the top of the other heart. Now this way I got to keep the kids as separate, so each of them have their own strand that they hang from. Thank you guys so much for watching and for your support. Please like, subscribe, and comment and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.